Hi everyone, it's Justin here on Voices for Voices. Thank you so much for joining us, whether you're watching, listening here in the United States or across the world. We're grateful to have you with us. If you can do us a big favor, give us a big thumbs up, like, follow, subscribe, share, reshare, repost, and even have if you have your phone out, reach out to maybe 25 or 50 contacts, share the Voices for Voices podcast with them. And if you don't have it out, make sure you can do that. Those are all free things to do, and we are so grateful for each and every one of you, whether you've been with us from episode one or you're just joining us. So welcome back and welcome. Today we're going to talk a little bit about meaning. What's the meaning? A lot of us look for the meaning of life, the meaning of what activities, what things that we do and how they're going to affect others, the world, the human race, everybody. And it was been brought to kind of my attention that we look for meaning, here Voices for Voices, me as a leader, and I really don't think of myself as a leader. I'm just a human being that wants to help other human beings is really what it comes down to. Um, and so when there's, the days of down where, we sit, our mind kind of ruminates and kind of goes down rabbit holes and does all of that, we kind of think about what's this life for? What are we here for? Why am I still alive and why aren't other people still alive? Uh, and realizing that my time may be up today, maybe up in a second, a minute, an hour. We just don't know. And and so that got me thinking of what we're doing at Voices for Voices, what we're doing with the show, what we're doing with publishing, among some other areas. And something came to mind, was actually stated by somebody that isn't myself, so it's not me self-glamorizing, but uh, I thought it was interesting to hear. And as I did some research, there's a lot of similarities of what I'll be getting into and discussing and what myself and the Voices for Voices organization, mythical creatures around the world, uh, what we're doing with the work that we're doing, and why does it matter? Who cares? We've had people say, "Oh, this is a stupid podcast, it's stupid videos," and it gets me sad, and it gets me wondering, like, what what are we doing here? Are we are we making a positive difference? And when this particular person shared with me what they thought with our organization, and then us as individuals and us as wanting to make the world a better place. And so first, as you may know, we are we are talking about some pretty hard, pretty tough, pretty uh, difficult, you name it, topics, and it ruffles feathers. People get upset. People have been doing things for quite a while, possibly. And here we come along and we are, because we feel, and not just what we feel like, but what the laws actually say, that we are a, and I don't say this lightly at all, uh, we are modern day Martin Luther King. And when I first heard that, I was just thinking, like, no, we're not. That, that I don't think so. I don't know. Because I hadn't thought about it like that. I and everybody with voices for voices in any capacity, I hadn't really thought about like that because it's a little bit of judging and then a little bit of like, really? Is that really the case? And so what I started to do was just a little bit of research on some of the some of the quotes that have carried Martin Luther King and his legacy. Now, I do want to say this. Everybody has skeletons in the closet. I don't care who you are, where you're from. We all have skeletons. So I know Martin Luther King Jr. has been brought into the spotlight at times about certain things he may or may not have taken part of. And that's not the part that I'm talking about. So I'm talking about the part where he is standing up, not sitting down. He's talking as well as listening. And I started looking at a few of these quotes of his, and then to see like his voices for voices, anything like this. And so for uh before we start looking through these, I just want to share I was very surprised. I took history and things and over the years at school, and so I'm just going to read off a few of Martin Luther King Jr. His quotes, and then we're going to talk about them. So this first quote is quote, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter," end quote. And I started to think about, wait a minute, if we remain silent, our lives begin to end. And I'm not taking these as gospel, I'm not at all. It's just another human being at another point in time. And these were some of the quotes he had spoken. And I look at, so again, this is a full quote. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. So if we see that the state of Ohio is the seventh highest state in human trafficking, and we talk to individuals who have been trafficked, we talk to people who have been had addictions, gone through trauma, so much. And if we don't talk about it, we're doing in the public, we as an organization, we're doing a disservice. So we're not standing up. We're just sitting down and letting things pass right by. So that quote right there, I can't stay silent about topics like these. I don't know who could. I guess that's one of the reasons people continue to download and view and repost, reshare, and share with their contacts, and they do all the things because because they see that. They see that we're not silent. They see that we have a platform and a teeny tiny megaphone. And so that was the first quote from Martin Luther King Jr. And so I started thinking, as I just laid out. Second one, quote, use me, God. Show me how to take who I am, who I want to be, and what I can do, and use it for a purpose greater than myself, end quote. We've talked about this at length. There's higher power, I feel. For me, it's God. I don't, it could be something else, something else for you. Uh, and and so the reason why I'm here can't be because of things that I've done, because I'm not perfect. None of us humans, none of us are perfect. So it can't be because of me, myself, and I. Has to be by a higher power. In this quote about God saying, show me how to take who I am, who I want to be, and what I can do, and use it for a purpose greater than myself. And I look at voices for voices. I, as I just mentioned, I'm not here because of me. I'm not. There's a reason why I'm here and others aren't. There's darn good people that have gone before us. Let me say that. Darn good people. And so for a purpose bigger than ourselves. Hmm. Where have we heard something like that before? Oh, when I share and say that we want to reach and help at least 3 billion people over the course of my lifetime and beyond, I'd say that's pretty big. I'd say that's bigger than me. I am one teeny out of 3 billion. And so I began to think, okay, so Martin Luther King's talking about a lot of things, segregation and the other quote of, look at us by the content of our character, not the color of our skin. That's another quote of Martin Luther King. So back to this quote. I'm not here because of me. I'm here because of God. You're here because of your higher power. and we're meant to do things that are big to help people. And so I started to think, well, yeah, as I just mentioned, we want to reach and help at least 3 billion with a B. Billion, not million, billion. There's 8 billion people in the world right now, thereabouts. I said we want to reach and help at least 3 billion people over the course of my lifetime and beyond. So that quote, we can put a little check mark next to that. Another quote from Martin Luther King Jr. Quote, you don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step. This is so true for Voices for Voices. We started a show without a following, with nobody knowing us, kind of going out on a limb. Oh, this is a hobby, whatever you may call. But is it really just a hobby? So we took our first step. We had our first event, a brand new day, while COVID was going on. We had speakers from Ohio in person all the way to New South Wales, Australia for that event. We haven't had one in a couple of years. Uh, Other areas are taking off, and we will get back to having that event. But that was bigger than me. I think we had, like I said, 12, 10 or 12 around there speakers. We had sign language interpreters. We have special needs orchestra. We had professional musicians from the local orchestra. And I did it all by myself. There's others that helped with pieces and parts. But as far as getting things set up, the location, the speakers, making sure that, the time change of here on the East Coast versus Australia and others in between. And so I could have not done that, but I did it. Our organization did it. No one knew anything about Voices for Voices. And there's a lot of people probably still that don't know a whole lot about us or even of us. So we just need to take that first step. We don't have to see what is planned into the future. Like, what does God have for me in my future? If anything, I don't know. I have no idea. It just incredible. Just take the first step. Just do it. Just take the first step. What's the worst thing that happens? You stop. There's been things where I've taken a first step and they've turned out horribly. And then there's been things such as the Voices for Voices podcast and TV show now's now has over 560 episodes. You can watch and listen. We're in over 120 countries, I think, a couple thousand cities. I can't do this by myself, but I took the first step. as things started to line up with the show and the filming, I started to learn. I started to learn what I say. I keep saying I chose to learn because Mahatma Gandhi has a quote that says, quote, live as if you were to die tomorrow. Learn as if you were to live forever. So that's why I try my darndest when we get our shows finished to get them edited and get them out. Because I don't know if today's my last day. None of us know. And so that's from Mahatma Gandhi. And so learn as if we're going to live forever. That start to make some sense because I constantly learn from others. I just got back from the gym, watching others do different exercises, and some of them I'm like, oh, I can do that. Oh, that's a different way of working out, your legs or whatever body part you're working out at the gym. And so I'm continuously learning, as Mahatma Gandhi says, as if I were to live forever, which I'm not. Nobody is. So I digress. Back to back to Martin Luther King. Quote, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. End quote. It, it it's so it's night and day when we talk about times of convenience, things that are easy versus things that aren't. So when I say that Voices for Voices, our show, that we talk about easy topics and hard topics. The easy topics would be topics of convenience. The hard topics would be topics that are challenging to talk about, can be controversial. Apologize on how I say that. That's just kind of how I say it. And so there's two ways to look at that. You go, wow, yeah, you're right. Again, I'm not getting any style points for talking about these, having this. Not gaining hundreds of sponsors. We haven't reached the 3 billion people mark yet. So I'm not doing this, what can be considered for fame, because if I was, I probably would have stopped a heck of a lot farther back in our episode catalog of over 560. If I was going for fame, I probably would have done maybe 10 or 20 or 30 episodes and then been like, all right, that's not working. So we're just gonna put the end to it and not do it anymore. We could have did that. We can talk about comfort topics, and we do. We also talk about controversial and challenging topics. We are on the cusp of giving consumers from all over the world, content, media. We're giving them alternatives. Never had alternatives before. It was one way or the highway. If you want a book on a certain topic, you got to go to a certain area, a certain author, join certain groups. Now, people are starting to see that, well, there might be an alternative to that. And competition is good. Otherwise, it's a monopoly. Not like the board game, which that's one of my favorite games ever, is to play the game of Monopoly. But if one group, one individual, one owner, whatever you want to call it, has control of so many aspects of a certain thing, people start to lose faith, lose hope, and go, well, this is I got to do this because this is all that's there. And Voices for Voices is now given a voice to those that never had a voice before. They've had a voice, they just never been able to use it and utilize it in a much healthier way. So yes, we do talk about controversial and challenging topics. Not always, we also talk about the easy and the comfort topics. But I think it's very telling when Martin Luther King Jr. says, quote, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy." So first and foremost is we stand. We don't just sit. I do a lot of sitting throughout the day. But what this is referring to is we can sit and let those controversial and challenging topics go by, or we cannot. And we choose not to just watch those go by. Another quote, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." You hear me say at the end of our shows, a lot of them, because it's unscripted, sometimes I don't end up saying it, but I feel it and I mean it in the most sincere way that wherever you're at in life, we're sending our love and support. I don't know what all we can do to help you in your life. Our goal is obviously, as I said, to reach and help 3 billion people. So that's that's the big overarching goal. And so that's our goal of what we would like to do, what we're going to do. But we're not going to do it from a standpoint of darkness. We're going to do it from a position of love and support. We're not going to be hiding in the shadows. We're going to send love and support. I may not have met you, but we're still sending our love and support to you. So no matter where you're at in life, just know that Voices for Voices is sending love and support to you to do what you love to do, what you're meant to do. And we can only do that with light and with love. And so we let the challenging and controversial topics walk by, then we're letting the darkness take over. If we're at the crosswalk saying, hold up, we have a public service announcement, public service statement, public safety statement, however you want to think of it. And then we talk about it. We're not always going to agree because we're humans, we're unique. So it's not a big deal. I just want you to know that you're always welcome here. You're always welcome to tune in, whether to watch, listen, no matter where you're at, no matter where you're at in life. If you're doing, that's fantastic. If you're not, we still love you. We still are sending our support. And there's a prayer that I pray for not only myself, but I pray for the whole world. That's one of the prayers I pray at the end of the of every day. And that includes our enemies, because we're all human at the end of the day. That doesn't mean that people, organizations shouldn't be held accountable. That's not a freebie or like Monopoly, the get out of jail free card or spot. So we're bringing light to darkness. We're bringing it through challenging times, controversial times. So that takes us to where the comment about Voices for Voices being a modern day Martin Luther King Jr. I just went through like five quotes. There's more to a person, there's more to Martin Luther King. And again, at the outset, I did say I'm not looking past some of the things that have been said in a negative light. Now, whether those are true or not, I don't know. But what I just talked about were areas that we agree. And I didn't even think of these quotes through the years the Voices for Voices has been around. But when it was brought to my attention that we're modern day Martin Luther King Jr.'s. And we don't have to have billions or millions of followers or we're talking on our or teeny tiny megaphone with the hopes that more people will come into the light with us, that will step out of darkness, that will expose darkness. We can love a person, but we don't have to love an act. So we do not wish harm on anybody, but we do, however, look for justice for individuals who have a side of themselves that doesn't really match up with laws and regulations and being a neighbor, not a neighbor that steals their TV, but a neighbor that is there to watch over while they may be on vacation and see any unusual activity and report it. And then we'll finish up with a couple more quotes with Mahatma Gandhi. It's so this is from Mahatma Gandhi, a quote. Quote, it's easy to stand in the crowd, but it takes courage to stand alone, end quote. So true. It kind of it is like the quote of Martin Luther King Jr., where he's talking about we got to bring love, we got to bring light to where there's darkness. We got to talk about challenging, controversial topics. And then the easy topics are those topics that we would just stand in the crowd. So there are 100 people, 99 would be in the crowd on one side, and then there'd be a one person on the other. And it takes courage to be that one person instead of that one of those 99. And I feel that a lot of being alone on most days. Because every day is not going to be some incredible, awesome, whatever terms we want to use. Every day is not going to be like that. We want it to. It's just not. It's just not. So it takes courage. And again, I'm not beating my own drum. I'm just saying it takes courage to do what we're doing. It takes courage for me to decide to do these things, knowing that a lot of people are going to get upset. But I want to help so many people that if I don't talk about topics, I don't talk about areas of controversy or challenging, how can I turn my back on those people? I can't. I can't turn my back on those people. Absolutely not. So I guess I'm courageous. Again, I'm not getting bonus points. I'm not getting stickers. I'm not getting that for saying these things. I'm giving factual quotes and applying it to Voices for Voices. So this show is going to be like all the others. It's going to have a number to it. It's going to have a title, description, all those things. And then we move on. But we are, believe it or not, a modern day Martin Luther King Jr. We are a modern day Martin Luther King Jr. For what we have exposed to the world, courageous because we're given opportunities and healthy environments. We want people to be safe. We don't want that here in Ohio and all across the United States. We don't want a single person to be trafficked. And here in Ohio, we're number 7. And this isn't golf, so we're not looking for the lowest score. It means the 7th worst state for human trafficking. Let that sink in, Ohioans. Last quote from Mahatma Gandhi. Quote, "You never know where your actions will lead to, but if you don't do anything, they will lead you nowhere." End quote. Kind of like take that first step. You don't know, you don't see the whole staircase, like Martin Luther King Jr.'s quote. If you take that first step, then you're probably going to see the second step, but you're not going to see the second step without the first step. And so we don't know and how the our actions are going to impact the world, the human race. We don't know. But if we don't do anything, like Mahatma Gandhi said, it's going to leave us nowhere. Our actions will lead us nowhere if we don't do something, if we don't get started. So whatever it may be that you've been putting off for what I don't know, for whatever reason, do it. Get started. You never know. I never know. I don't know. I still don't know with Voices for Voices. But my actions of continuing to put content out, at the very least, is helping. You know who it's helping for sure? Right here. It's helping me. And this isn't me, pounding on my chest, going, look at me, look at me, look at me. Again, I'm not getting any bonus, extra, anything for talking about this. But you will have seen and heard me talk about quotes from Martin Luther King Jr. and Mahatma Gandhi and how they relate to Voices for Voices. And you have a real hard time saying that's not the case. Real hard time. That's why I didn't believe it at first. I was just like, no, in my mind. But then I started doing a little bit of research. I acted. I went to that first step and then I saw that second step, and those were the quotes. And then we have the show. So then that was the third step. And you see how things progress from there. So like it, don't like it, hate it, whatever you like. We don't control anybody. We give ideas, we give thoughts, we give stories, we give experiences, events, talk about challenging, controversial topics, as well as easy and comfort in standing in the crowd topics, as well as the courageous topics, because we are standing and we are courageous and we are voices for voices. Thank you so much for joining us on this show. Please give us a thumbs up, like, follow, subscribe, share, reshare, repost. Uh, if your phone's out, l- let and share the Voices for Voices podcast with maybe 25 of your contacts in your phone. All those things are free to do. And so until next time, let's celebrate all the voices in the world. Let's be a voice for not only ourselves, but for those who are in need, that we can be a voice for. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye bye for now.